Gary and Joanie McGuffin are renowned for their wilderness adventures and high-profile conservation efforts. Married in 1983, they paddled 6,000 miles across Canada for their honeymoon. 3 years later, they cycled across the country. Recently, Gary and Joanie mapped and canoed a 1,200-mile ancient forest water trail, an incredible trek linking islands of old growth in northern Ontario. En route, they used a digital camera and satellite hookup to transmit stories to the internet and 57 newspapers. The McGuffins are the authors of 3 best-selling books. Through their award-winning photography and writing, they share their awesome journeys and give wild places a voice. They live in the Algoma Highlands on the shores of Lake Superior. The McGuffins, down to earth.
I would smoking oranges, path full canoe. I would course the inland ocean to be back to you. No matter where I go to, it's always home again, to the rugged northern shore and the days of sun and wind, and the land of the silver birch, cry of the loon. There's something about this country that's a part of me and you.
For our wilderness honeymoon, Joanie and I paddled a canoe 6,000 miles across Canada. It was on that journey that we first met Lake Superior. Hi, I'm Gary McGuffin.
I'm Joanie McGuffin.
This is our companion, Kalijah.
And our daughter, Seela. She's only 3 months old, but she's already been on a 1-month canoe trip.
On our journey across Canada by canoe, part of that journey was to paddle the 500-mile north shore of Superior. After that journey, we decided we would cycle across Canada, and we came down by mountain bike out of the Arctic Ocean and reached the North Shore. After that journey, we then decided it would be a lot of fun to paddle the 2,000 miles of shoreline of Superior, and we circumnavigated the whole lake.
I've been hearing about Lake Superior my whole life from my parents, who told me stories of their adventures up here when I was just a child. And it always intrigued me, and the first time I saw the lake was when we paddled across the country. I never knew back many of those years ago that this would then be our home.
Look, don't.
Wow. Looks like a piece of chert.
Yeah, I think it is a piece of chert. It's been worked by human hands. Yeah, people have been living here for thousands of years, and this is just a sample of some of the rock that they worked to make tools from, arrowheads, spear points. Other things we find along the shoreline, examples of tool making, an actual haft of a knife, also made from chert. This is a piece of pottery, probably a couple thousand years old, made by the Black Duck people. This is a little flake from a piece of jasper taconite, and it was used probably to make a spear point, maybe an lattice point. This could be used as a scraper. It's just a percussion flake, but could be used as a scraper just for scraping something like a rabbit hide. Oh, and this green piece. Well, that's something the Creator made, and that's a genuine Lake Superior agate.
Gary, can you hold Seela for me for a moment?
Come on, little girl.
Oh, this is an incredible place. Wow, look at all these mosses and lichens here amongst the trees along the lake. The lichens tell us an awful lot about the Arctic-like qualities along the Lake Superior shoreline. Here's some coral lichen. and some reindeer lichen. When the glaciers receded, we had those animals and plants and so on at the edge of the ice, and the caribou lived here before the moose and deer did. And still today, they feed along the shores of Lake Superior on these such plants as lichens.
Oh, and the red rock over here. Look at the water flowing down these fissures, and in the cracks where the mosses have taken hold, we can see a lot of variety of different mosses. I always think of them like a sponge holding the forest's moisture and letting it out slowly for the plants and trees. The icicles, now they tell us that winter's coming.
Ah, and some leatherleaf. It's also known as arbutus or mayflower. It has the most sweetest, beautiful scent of spring in May. There's little white flowers that bloom here, and leatherleaf for the feel of the leather-like leaves, and some wintergreen growing in here too. Oh, we'll take a little nibble of that. It's like spearmint, better than any chewing gum. And the moss. This one in particular makes me chuckle right now, having a baby. The first peoples who lived here, the Ojibwe, the women, would gather this moss and dry it. It holds 100 times its weight in water, so you can guess what they used to use it for. Diapers.
Look at you.
Oh, let's go over there. Oh, it's like walking on a big cushion.
That's ever neat. Look at all the water. Wow.
Oh, it's so soft and smooth.
I don't even want to walk on this.
Oh, look
Look
at
at
the
that.
rock tripe. Like big flappy pieces of
Look at it
leather.
up there.
You know, I've read about this rock tripe. Look, Elijah's quite interested in it too. Oh, this would suffice in times of hungry times when you could take it and boil it up and make a kind of stew with it. Pretty revolting, I think, but if you have nothing else to eat on a winter's day.
Well, you'll see here, this is how this region got its name, Beaver Rock. Just above that headland of beach, you can see the beaver's head and the body, and then extending out into the lake, the tail of the beaver.
This is one of the 200 rivers that flows into Lake Superior. There's only one that flows out, the St. Mary's, in the southeast corner of the lake.
Superior covers a surface area of more than 32,000 square miles. That makes it the largest freshwater lake in the world. This is one of Joanie's illustrations, which appears in our book, Superior Journeys on an Inland Sea. It depicts Lake Superior and its entire watershed. We're here on the eastern side of Lake Superior, and this is one of the rivers that flows out of the Algoma Highlands watershed. As we make our way up towards the headwaters of the Algoma Highlands, we see a forest which has been, in a sense, reduced through high-grade logging. All you really see is a lot of hardwood, and you don't get that mix of conifer cover and the type of forest that existed as an ecosystem. Well, here we're at Gourd Lake, which is a part of the Abinadong watershed that flows into the Mississauga. We finally found this 6 years ago, and it's got to be the finest example of old growth, ancient forest, Great Lakes St. Lawrence forest left in the continental US and Canada combined. Well, now we've climbed the ridge above Gourd Lake. What's really distinctive about this area is once you get to the tops of these high ridges, you can look out and you can see, I have a raven. You can see ridge after ridge after ridge of white pine. Man, coming up on top of here, it's just like a sensory overload. There's the tastes and just the sights, but you just breathe in the scent of this pine. It's just, it brings back all those memories from when I was 6 years old and growing up in Temagami, and I saw a lot of this forest type being cut down around me. Another raven. Boy, this is a great place. Oh boy, this is great. I see some moss over here, and I thought I'd try and get a photograph of it right on the base of this big white pine. Look at the bark on this. A lot of people don't look at a white pine and think of a black bear, but a family of black bears gets into trouble or a mother senses danger. This is really the only type of bark that the cub can actually get its tiny claws into in order to scramble up. So this is like a ladder to safety for the black bear in northern Ontario. Yeah, maybe I'll slow that down a bit. Give it a, I don't want to touch the camera. So shutter speed so slow. Okay. Yeah, that should work. You know, it's really funny. We do a lot of slideshows, and I think the most commonly asked questions is who taught you how to take pictures? And I had that question so much. I finally decided, well, I'll think back. When was my first actual photo assignment? And I can remember my mom and dad, they gave me a camera when I was 6 years old, and they said, okay, you're going to document a journey. So we all went down to the Florida Everglades. It was a great time. We saw all kinds of alligators, and we met some Seminole people and learned to swim, actually at 6 years old, in the brackish water, the salt water in the Everglades. That was just such a neat experience, because I was then able to come home and I had all these prints. I took prints, and it was so fun just being able to show the aunts and uncles and the neighbors and all our close friends. And I got such a great response from them, and I really enjoyed interpreting the Florida Everglades through photographs. And I think I've just carried on with that. And it's just, it's really rewarding to be able to go into these wild places, and Joanie and I, some of these places we've just never seen before. And we know not very many people have gotten in to see trees like this, or see wildlife like we get an opportunity to see through our self-propelled travels. It's just so rewarding to be able to come back and show an audience of 500 or 600 people images of cougar or bobcats or timber wolves playing in a clearing. That's just, it's really neat, and just that audience response, I know they're learning a lot. And I think that's really what it's all about. I mean, we love to adventure, we love the journey aspect of everything, we love wild places, but I think it's now being able to share that, and that's the real love for what we do. It's being able to share it and know that in our own hearts we're really making a difference to preserve these wild places that are so much a part of our home, and it's what makes us tick. Well, because we're at this height of land, namely the Algoma Highlands, we're at a headwaters, and that means there's all kinds of rivers that just need to be explored by canoe on our way down to Lake Superior. Woohoo! All right, Joan. Going with the flow.
Chippewa is one of those many lovely rivers that flows to Lake Superior. People think of the forest as the trees, and we're always thinking about all the different kinds of trees and plants and animals that live in a forest, but indeed one of the major things of a forest is the water that flows through it. Flowing water is flowing life. Indeed, water flows through our bodies in the same way as it flows through this forest, connecting every living thing. Come on, puppy. Watch your footing now. Come on, up, up.
Whoa! All right.
Well, this is one of the most spectacular gorges I know along the Lake Superior shoreline. We're making the portage around the Sand River Gorge and into Lake Superior. Many of the rivers that we paddled into the lake, they have these spectacular gorges and drops, and the water flows through these faults created by geologic forces millions of years ago, but the water that appeared after the glaciers 10,000 years ago is what we are seeing the continuation today, flowing down through this channel and out into Lake Superior.
Here it is, Joan. We can put it in the bottom of this falls.
Wow! Rocks like these just make you feel like a little gnome along the river. We're heading out to the lake now.
The Montreal River makes a dramatic entrance into Lake Superior through this last canyon. Looking out at the lake reminds us of the 3-month journey we made paddling all around Superior's shores and then exploring it again in all the different seasons.
By wood smoke and oranges, path of old canoe, I would course the inland ocean to be back to you. No matter where I go to, it's always home again, to the rugged northern shore and the days of sun and wind. In the land of the silver birch, cry of the loon, there's something about this country, it's a part of me and you. We nosed her in by Pakasaw, out for 15 days to set paddle and the spirit at the mercy of the waves. The one-agains were loaded down and a gift left on the shore, for it's best that we surrender to the rugged northern shore. In the land of the silver birch, cry of the loon, there's something about this country, it's a part of me and you.
In our explorations of Lake Superior and its watershed, we've used various forms of self-propelled travel, canoe, kayak, snowshoes, and skis to experience this unique landscape from different perspectives. Through her writing, Joanie is able to capture the essence of this experience.
The people whose hands made the paintings were the same that held paddles shaped much like our own. They propelled their canoes over this same lake, bathed and drank from it, fished the streams, and surely marveled at the shape and color of the same rocks we had seen today. They were people whose eyes saw storms approaching, whose ears heard thunder, whose noses caught the scent of damp earth, and whose taste buds relished blueberries. We appreciate the physical aspect of their lives. Their day-to-day survival depended upon their knowledge of the seasons, the animals, and plants.
of the watershed of the Algoma Highlands on the east shore of Lake Superior. Looking out at some of the islands here, North and South Sandys, and even Whitefish Bay across the lake. Oh, hello, Sela. You want to get your 2 cents worth in? Oh, dear. I have to have a little burp.
We always enjoy coming up here and having a little fire and, in a way, just giving thanks to a great day. We usually look out at the sunset and we usually pray the sun up and we thank the sun for a fine day. What's really neat is to come up here early in the spring, and because there's so many updrafts coming up off this cliff, we see all the big migration of the broadwing hawk.
And sometimes we'll even see the rare peregrine falcon. They nest over there on some of those steep spots right below us. We've seen them nest with their young chicks. A little chick just like you.
The sandhill cranes really like this spot. And we'll sit here and we'll hear them and we think, man, they must be somewhere out in the valley. And then we look thousands of feet above us and they're way up. And we come here, we get our binoculars out and we lie on our backs and we just stare up and watch the cranes as they melt the nylon. I can remember taking big long hikes with my dad, and my dad would be on skis and I'd be over his shoulders, and everything that he saw I was almost seeing through his eyes, and just listening to his stories and everything he saw, everything he talked about, the smells, he could identify things for me, and my mom was always there, and it was just really, you really felt a part of everything that they were.
It makes me think of walking down some of the trails and up the trail here when you carry Sela, and she's there in front of you looking out, her little eyes peeping out like a little owl, looking around and thinking about what she is seeing, her perspective, and it's going to be fun to watch her grow up. I'm just so happy with her name now though, Sela Kestrel. And Kestrel for the little falcon that flies by here at our favorite time of the year in the fall, one of our favorite times, and Sela,
which is the Inuit word for nature.